Kigali. Maybe good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. We will start in. There we go. Hi, everyone. How do I pin Tayo? Okay, we're gonna figure that out in a second. But I'd like you all to welcome Piera Naomja, right? From Hot Basso, and she's joining us today along with Matthew Rugamba, Tayo. Tayo will pull him in a little bit later on. Let's kick off and really get to know Piera first.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Who is Piera? Tell us.
Many things. I guess that's a complicated question somehow.
Yeah.
I'm a creative, a business person, an entrepreneur.
And
artist.
how did you get into fashion?
I think I always had a love for fashion. I grew up around fashion a lot. My mom studied fashion, actually.
Oh, really?
So that's really kind of my original exposure to fashion was from her. And then as I got older, I just got more and more interested in it, and that's kind of, I just went with it.
So you studied fashion, right?
Yes.
What did you study exactly?
So I studied fashion management, which is essentially fashion business, and then I also studied retail buying.
So it's the business side of fashion,
Yeah.
right? And are you also a creative? You said you are.
Yeah.
Can you also sketch and stitch? And...
Yeah, I'm not the greatest at
Yeah.
sketching at all, but
Okay.
yes, I can do it.
You can do it from
and I
scratch.
can stitch. I've made clothes before by myself. So
Were you
yes.
those kind of people that did like your prom dress? And
I don't know.
No,
Not at all.
Did you ever fantasize that you would make your own wedding gown?
No, actually.
We can get to that in a bit, actually, because you didn't even wear a wedding gown, right? You wore a pantsuit, but
I wore a suit, but yeah, no, I was never that into the stitching aspect of it, or like that part. I was more into the product development aspect of it. Is what I really love to do, and then also the business side of it is what I love most. Yeah.
And when you were thinking of going to school and doing it professionally, did you think of like you studied in Canada, right? In Toronto. Did you think of coming back home or anywhere else on the continent?
So initially, I didn't think about it at all when I first went to school. But as I visited Rwanda a couple times for just family visits, that's when I realized that there was such a gap in the market that I felt like this is a place where I can bring my skills and then also have the opportunity to come home and be with my friends and my family. I couldn't really miss out on the opportunity.
So this is really what Makers is all about, right? It's about seeking opportunity and really taking a leap of faith. So I really want to know more about that. So when you decided to come and you just saw a land of opportunity, right, in a particular industry that you are passionate about and you have experience because you studied it, but you also worked in Canada. Really just take us through that journey of finding a job. Did you have to find it? Did you create it?
Yes.
How did that go? What's an interview like for somebody in fashion in Rwanda? How does that work?
Yeah, so actually I think my journey kind of led me on many different paths before I found my place at Haute Basso. So when I initially came to Rwanda, I came with really an entrepreneurial spirit. So I was really eager to start my own business. But what I found challenging was to be able to connect with the right people, find out where do people source from, all these things that go into running a fashion business. These were the things that I didn't have the connections that I did in Canada. So that's what I found most challenging. So from that, I ended up doing other kind of things. So I was able to work with Ilum, actually. So shout out to Ilum, for hiring me to help with the Collective Fashion Week, actually. In 2017. So through that, I was able to meet those in the collective. I was able to be exposed to kind of how does the fashion industry really work in Rwanda? Yeah. And that only got me more excited about what the opportunities were, because I was able to really see it hands on, what the challenges were, what were the advantages. So that was a wonderful opportunity, and then through that, I was able to get a connection and be able to go to New York. And work for Fashion Week in New York, and then from then I landed the job at Haute Basso.
So that sounds very jet set kind of life, right? In New York Fashion Week, I think that's the dream in the fashion world, is it not? So I think the question is, why would you come back to Rwanda when you don't have that? Is it starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Really seeing some
But
virgin land there.
I think that's the thing. Like, don't be fooled and think that that's what the fashion industry is like. It's just that you're traveling everywhere, living this lavish life. It's a lot of hard work, and actually, because in, let's say, North America and Canada, the market is oversaturated. There's so many. I mean, I graduated amongst how many hundreds of students that were seeking the same type of jobs that I was looking for. Whereas in Rwanda, we have really an opportunity to be able to create and be able to develop an industry that didn't otherwise exist. So that's where I find it more exciting, and you actually have a lot more opportunity to also go other places through what we're doing here. I think we've been super fortunate to be able to have an infrastructure that really supports Rwandan creatives, and with the Made in Rwanda policies, all these kind of things really help push us forward. So I think that's given us a lot of platforms to be able to showcase our talents.
That's great. We're going to talk a little bit about collective, because I think that's fascinating. I think it's very collaborative, but we'll talk a bit more when Tayo joins us in a few. Maybe we can transition to Hot Basso, but before we do that, just while we're still in the Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, or even the not Kigali, is it called Collective Fashion Week?
Now it's Rwanda Fashion Week.
Rwanda Fashion Week. Why does everybody wear black? What's going on with that?
So I think two sides. So there's those who are actually working as part of the teams to put on the shows wear black, because you're supposed to not kind of be visible. You're supposed to be really in the background. But
so it's all about the clothes.
Exactly. Whereas I think attendees are just fashion lovers in general. I think black is kind of a uniform. It's chic. It's simple, but it looks good on everybody's body. Like there's so much you can do.
It's great for hiding things,
but
we know about that.
But it's also so great to be able to use that to showcase also your creative aesthetic and
I think it's like Vera Wang, who only wears black, right?
Vera Wang,
and like Michael Kors, and just
there's a lot of people, and I think the uniform also in general is a concept that I think is taken on a lot more outside of the tech world. So I think even in the fashion world, we're seeing a lot of people creating these uniforms and being like all black and things like that. I think it just looks chic all the time. It's a no-brainer. You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. Yeah. Okay, let's transition to Hot Basso, which is black and white, right? The logo and everything. How did you get into Hot Basso? And I think Hot Basso is so cool. It's so chic. It incorporates Africanness in it, but very modern as well. It's one of my favorite Made in Rwanda brands, by the way. I'm not just saying that because you're here. It's true. So is it Zuki and all the others. But I really do like the aesthetic. It's maybe just tell us a bit more about Hot Basso as a brand.
Yeah, I think Hot Basso as a brand, since it was really created as a collaborative business, and that's really kind of the ethos of the business is about collaboration. That's really how I came in. I initially came in as just a collaborator there to support, bring the skills that I had from my previous experience, and then from there it just turned into a permanent situation, which has been a blessing.
How long have you been with it?
It's almost 3 years now. Yeah, so it's been a great journey. It's been a great experience for me to be exposed in such an established brand, especially, and then be able to see it continuously grow. So it's been a wonderful.
And in terms of growth, I know you have a new store. I was there the other day. First of all, love the changing rooms.
Thank you.
I just think they're so big, and I was like, this is great. And then even it's very homey. Like there's a bench when you walk in. There's a cafe around the corner. It's very like come and stay. It's not just come by. It's like be a part of this community.
Yeah, and I think what we're trying to do as a brand is also grow with our customer. I think as the brand has grown, our customers also have grown with us. So it's to be able
some baby outfits.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even know you guys do kids clothes.
So it's just been an opportunity for us to be able to cater to a customer more holistically and not just cater to one aspect of his or her life. So that's been something that's been really important for us to expand with different things, so make it more of a lifestyle brand versus just specifically one category.
Yeah. And so so you have the store, the new store, which is now open, fully functioning.
In Gachuriro.
KG
383 Street. Number 18.
But for those of us who require African directions,
Before
it's actually like New Tonto building, or like there's a Tonto supermarket.
Yeah, just next door.
Right next door there's a Tonto supermarket. Gachuriro beside Kwetu. There's also a coffee shop that's coming.
Yes.
Right? Will you have, I don't know, like the local coffee people, like Kibu Noir, etc.?
Yeah, so again, it's the same kind of mentality that we're going into this new venture is all about collaboration. So the whole point of the coffee shop is to be able to bring in the best of Made in Rwanda brands. So bring in coffee, bring in pastries as well. So that's another opportunity that we see that we're able to collaborate and be able to cater to our customer in another way.
And will you be designing that, the tables and chairs, and then will it branch off into Hot Basso Home?
Yeah, so we've started actually a new page, so it's called the Inside Hot Basso. So this is really kind of the evolution of Hot Basso, and that would be the platform where we'll be able to showcase kind of the other projects that we're doing. So the cafe, also now that we're venturing into interiors. Yes and no. I wouldn't call it maybe a showroom. It's more about highlighting different experiences. That's kind of what we wanted to be really an area where you can go and experience Hot Basso. So you're able to experience not just the clothing, but you're able to experience kind of what we think is like the Hot Basso lifestyle.
You know what? I don't think this is a new idea. I think when Hot Basso first started, where it was before, in the very beginning, I think there was a bakery behind.
There was.
And you had to go through Hot Basso to get there. I love that idea.
Yeah.
This is very...
and
marketing geniuses.
And
to get the cupcake, you need to buy a shirt. Okay.
That's a bonus.
Yeah.
So I think the whole point, is just to be able to give a better experience to the clientele and be able to offer something more. And that's something also to be able to curate all of that, everything. So everything that's going into the cafe will be curated by us. The decor will be done by us. All these kind of little aspects that kind of help you understand exactly what the inside Hot Basso, what does that mean?
Yeah. So Hot Basso, so it's not called Hot Basso Home. It's Inside Hot Basso?
Inside Hot Basso.
Inside Hot Basso.
Yeah.
So is that live? Can somebody call Hot Basso and say, I want a refresh of my living room?
Yeah, so we recently posted a project that we recently did.
I went to that project.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I walked in and I was like, because I knew what it looked like before, and I was like, I need their number.
Yeah, and that was just another opportunity for us to be able to cater to this is our clientele, right? And be able to show you how Made in Rwanda can also be interpreted differently in the interiors as well. And it could be affordable and it could look amazing.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was affordable and it was fast. It was like a month or two.
Yeah, which I think we're trying to keep the same kind of outlook and the same type of quality and everything as we do with our apparel and the Hot Basso as we do with inside Hot Basso as well.
I love it. And I love the fact you come with the idea, because I was telling that friend of ours, I was like, I would never conceptualize any of this. Could they just walk into your living room and say, oh, I think this would be good? That's exactly what they did. I just said I wanted a TV stand. I was like, okay, perfect. I just want a bookshelf. Figure the rest out.
Which is the one thing that we love. I mean, we love to create. So it's another, also on a personal, like selfish level, it's another place that we're able to also play and like let out our creativity in another way.
And everything is made in Rwanda, right?
Yes.
Most of the things.
Same thing with our brand. I mean, we still curate within East Africa as well for different things that we don't have here in Rwanda. And it's also just about the experience. I mean, as we're also, Rwanda is growing, and I think as the East African community becomes stronger, it's also an important place for us to be able to highlight also what our neighbors are doing too.
Absolutely. I love it all. Of course, fashion is fascinating to those of us who are not creative, who cannot draw for anything, or I can barely write. Like I can't forget drawing. But I know fashion has taken a hit, just like tourism and other important sectors due to COVID-19. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that, how Hot Basso has been affected, how Collective has been affected.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, almost every industry has been affected by COVID. And it's I think, allowed us to kind of take a pause and reevaluate our business model, see where we can improve. And I think one thing especially is in our supply chains. I think that's where we realize our vulnerabilities really is in our supply chain. So also try to ideate about how we can strengthen the textile industry within East Africa or even in Rwanda also, and how that can help us not be as vulnerable when, let's say, when like China's locked down, when our neighbors are locked down, where do we go? So that's been our biggest challenges in our supply chain. But I think the great opportunity that's come from it is that it's forced us to really look kind of within and be able to see how we can better cater to the domestic client. Because I think that's sometimes the customer that's neglected sometimes, but
Absolutely.
for us, it's always been the core of our business, has always been the local clientele. So now that's reinforced this idea that we really need to like make sure that we're catering to that clientele really well.
Absolutely. You know, I have a little bit of a tourism background because that's my day job. But the same thing, right? They're looking at domestic tourism, and that was an area that was slight, you know, I don't know if I'm going to say neglected, but it was just like, it was not the
overlooked. I think sometimes,
maybe overlooked, but it's really coming through, during this time. That's great. Should we head over to inviting Tayo? Okay, guys, bear with us. We're going to try to figure out how. Tayo, do you want to come back? I don't know how to get you back in here. Okay, this is the Teddy Riley moment. Sorry, guys, forgive us. I don't know how to do this, actually. Producers, do you know how to do this? I just fixed it. Oh, me? Maybe we can take some questions as we wait. Okay, being a person who has studied fashion retail, do you see the need for that to become an offered course or masterclass considering the push of made in Rwanda products?
100%. I think having the technical knowledge is really important. So I think that if we're able to have a fashion school where people are able to learn those skills that are missing, that would definitely, I think, help promote Made in Rwanda further, because now we'd be able to also tie in and up with the quality of everything. So that's create new standards, I think, would be a great thing.
So which parts of capacity building is needed? Is it the technical side, stitching, sewing, all of that? Is it the business side? Is it both?
So I think it's both. I mean, everywhere I think those two things go together. When your production is strong, your business aspect needs to be strong so that they can elevate each other together. So I think both of them are really needed. I think we have very skilled tailors locally, and there's just every technology changes, you know. I think we need to just keep moving with the times and then make sure that they're also getting those upgrades as standards internationally.
Is it a 4-year program? Is it like a proper degree? Is it
so there's various different programs. So there's 4-year university programs, there's 2 years, there's 3-year college programs. So it really just varies on the type of
you can do like
programs.
Short courses.
There's even single courses that you can take. So there, I took a stitching course. That's just a single course. So that at least gave me the introduction, so I can understand really how the production aspect works and things like that. So there's definitely smaller courses that people can take and to be able to get the basic skills needed.
I think that's something that is the collective trying to build a bigger association? Is it looking into investing in something like that one day?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about a lot kind of partnering with different organizations to be able to give that capacity building through collective. So we've also worked with British Council, which has provided workshops, and ITC. So there's been other organizations we've worked with that are able to kind of help us to promote that aspect. But definitely it's something that we'd want to be doing more often for sure.
Fantastic. Okay. I think I can see waiting for Tayo to log in, connecting. Tayo!
Hi.
Hi. Okay. To the audience?
Okay. You want me to spin? All right.
Yeah, spin it, please, so that we're all, other way.
Upside down.
You're upside down.
Sorry. Sorry.
Fantastic.
There we go.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you. I'm going to let Um, yeah, there you go. Can everybody see all of us? Oh, this is fantastic. I love technology. Tayo, are you wearing a kimono? What's going on? What is your fashion?
It's a shirt.
Hmm?
It's like a kimono shirt, you know.
Welcome to Maker's Blueprint.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of the first show. I love you guys. You guys are so collaborative. I love these two. So we have to jump in and talk about, your newfound fame, all of you. But for Tayo, this is not the first rodeo. Tayo is used to being an A-list stylist, okay? That sounds a downgrade, I don't know, sorry. But yeah, we have to talk about Beyonce, acknowledging made in Rwanda, made in Africa. How amazing was that? What were some of your reactions? Where were you when you heard it? Did you know it was coming? Maybe Tayo, go first.
To be honest, I was actually in bed, and one of the stylists I worked with, a Kenyan stylist, sent me a message, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, did you see your brands here?" And so I go into the website, and so I start typing, HOT, and then it showed up with Hot Basso. So I send a screenshot to Linda, and I'm trying to figure out everything that's going on, which other brands are there. I did a quick search, I found Inzuki Motions, but there was so much going on that I didn't even send them a message. I was just trying to figure out because even other designers that I know on the continent, I was seeing their work get acknowledged, and it was just a huge wave. And to be honest, I have no idea when it actually went up on the site. It could have been there for a whole week, but it's just that I wasn't aware. Yeah.
Also, you're the first one out of the whole team who found out, and you started the wave.
Yeah, I would say that. And then, so actually, some of our pieces were put on the Instagram, and when I noticed that they were, the Black Owned Everything Instagram, when I noticed that they were paying attention to those, I checked the website, but none of us were there. So I checked one other time, I didn't see anything, and I mean, I was more than happy to be on the Instagram, because it just shows you that you're on their radar, and you just have to be ready for anything. But then for it to transition to the website, a website that is incredibly well curated, and the whole process is well thought out. It was really it was humbling to see not just myself, but not just House of Tyre, but other brands from Rwanda acknowledged. So we now have to take that next step. Yeah.
Where were you when you found out?
I was at home, and I think just after Tayo had sent it to Linda, she then sent it to me. So yeah, it was really exciting. I think that anytime you're acknowledged is always a great thing, but I think to be on a platform like this, in a time like this especially, I think it's only positive. Already, I don't know for Tayo if you've had the same experience. It's already been such a positive experience for us. We've received orders from people that have seen this.
And did that come when you realized you were on, like when we started posting on Instagram and stuff?
Yeah, it's when we started posting and resharing it on Instagram. That's when we started to get that traction. And I actually think it actually happened quite recently. So I kind of went down a vortex trying to also figure out when did this all happen? And I think it was released at the same time as Black is King. So I think it was from the 31st when they added the African-owned brands.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. I'm so proud of you people. Like, I'm so proud of you guys. I tell you, I don't know if you remember this. We were in London many years ago, maybe almost 10 years ago. And I asked Tayo was just starting, and I said, what would you do if you had $1 million? I said, I would open up my shop, and I'd open up a factory. Do you remember this? And I would just, I would extend, and I would, just like expand and just go global. And you've done that, I think, to an extent. And I'm just so proud of you all. It's really amazing, and I'm so happy you're a part of Makers, especially the first edition, because you'll give hope to other people, younger people, young and old. There's no age to start being a maker. Maybe just on picking up on what Pierre was saying about it translating into more than recognition, but into reward. I think that's important to know that sometimes it's just marketing. Sometimes it's just getting your name out there, and that's important too. How do you even get on those lists? How do you get, to be, in the eyesight of Beyonce's stylist? Like, where does that come from? What do you have to do? Do you have to become a part of the collective? Do you have to go for shows across the continent, different fashion shows? Do you have to be in certain publications, go to certain conferences? Like, how do you get out there? How do you get known? How do you get your brand out there?
I mean, I don't think there's like a formula, like a specific way that you should do it. But I think that the thing that we've done, I think as a collective, is make sure that our brands are strong, their quality is good quality. We take advantage of marketing opportunities. So if you do have guests that come to Rwanda, we are happy to give products so that they can see the type of thing that we do, and also making sure that we're placing ourselves strategically. So the type of showcases that we participate in, any type of interviews that we do, things like that. I think it's just about making sure that you're being strategic about what's your end goal, knowing which markets you're trying to enter, and then be able to see how you enter that.
Tayo, I know you're one of the founders or co-founders of the collective. Just maybe tell us a little bit how that came about, and how it's grown since.
I think that initially we just realized that it was very difficult to grow our brands individually. And I think that there were so many issues and problems that we were facing together that it made sense for us to start pooling our resources, efforts, connections, and start building from there. I think it started in a very basic way. If I had a sale, then no women would show up. If some of the women's brands had a sale, no men would show up. So just by us getting together to do a pop-up, that pulled together a wider range of people. So it started just like that, until we started to see the value in collaborating on things that are much bigger. And I think once, as each individual brand started to solidify their aesthetic and their identity, it became easier to collaborate, because it has got to the point where if you gave the exact same fabric to each brand, the products will look different. And I think that was an important step for us, and that was an important part of our collaboration, was creating strong individual identities and brand identities.
So what does the collective have in store for us this year? I know you guys usually do the fashion show, and due to COVID, I think that was postponed, unless you're going to give us a virtual one, like was it Hanifa? Unless you're giving us a virtual one, which we're all here for. Technology is great, as we can see. Just like what are the plans, and how how does somebody get into the collective? Is there a rigorous selection committee? How does that work as a fashion?
I think that if I was to start with, I think the first point of what is in store, I think that we are all collectively looking at how we navigate this period. So a lot of our businesses are looking at how do we restructure processes. So that, I think, is more important, to create a certain foundation before now moving forward. We also have to wait and see how the world changes, So those, I think, are all important things, but we're all looking individually, how do we restructure to make our businesses more resilient. Then I would say in the second question, you just send an application, to be honest. It's you just write to us. We've added a bunch of new members this year, and one thing that we like to say is that we benefit from the individual success of each brand. So when you decide to join the collective, you can't just be lounging around. You have to, make sure you have a website, put out
So there's certain
content.
standards you must meet.
Yes, but in the end, it benefits your individual brand. It's not a complicated process to apply, but I think we motivate each other and keep pushing each other to become better.
Yeah, I love it.
Agreed.
So maybe do you want to tell us a little bit about House of Tayo and what's coming up? I know, you're a celeb and you're like big time now. I mean, forgive us. Forgive us. I mean, first Lupita's brother, now Beyonce. I mean, I really hope you remember that we're neighbors. Just remember that I know where you live.
Invite me for tea then. I'm joking. So I think that one of the things that I keep thinking of is when you look at many of these brands in the States and in Europe, the moment something like this happens, with a click of the button, their stock is depleted. So while this moments like these are incredibly exciting, this is where the importance of the business side comes into play. I want the next time something like this happens for our stock to be depleted online, so we have to look at logistics systems. Otherwise, something like this just leads to more likes and followers, and we're trying to build a business.
Right.
So I think that exactly, we need to really look at how our businesses can scale and respond to moments like this. Otherwise, it will just give you popularity, and popularity alone doesn't pay the bills. You need to convert them into sales. So I think that is something that is, so even when I see something like this, I'm excited, but I'm just like banging my head against the table thinking, how can you capitalize on this in this time frame? Because if you can't get to people when they're hyped up, when they're excited, then by the time you've sorted yourself out, everyone's going to move on. Fashion is like that. Tech is like that. People move fast. So in terms of what's in store for House of Tayo, it's really figuring out that part and trying to bridge the gap between many of the people who love and support our brand from afar. So and then on the other side, it is looking at the way people have changed. I was telling my staff when they were asking, as soon as the lockdown was lifted, and now we were making a new batch of shirts, they were suggesting different styles to make, and then I said, listen, nobody's going to be attending events right now. Why are we making the more ceremonial long sleeve shirts? That doesn't make sense. People are going between the supermarket and their home. They're not. We need to be more practical. I was wearing sweatpants for a whole week, so how do I expect my customers to dress up?
That's so fascinating. I was going to ask you, so you're reimagining work, and the styles and the kind of things that you produce. I know you both did masks. Thank you. That was needed for sure. But so is House of Tayo making sweatpants?
No, not yet. Not yet. But I think I bring that up more to become more aware of, fashion needs to reflect the times. Fashion needs to move with people. It needs to be. I need to, when you look at fashion and then you say, oh, this was from 2010 because of this. After the economic crash, nobody was wearing labels. We went from having branded everything to an expensive white T-shirt, but there's zero label on it. So yeah.
That was just Kanye.
So
sure.
yeah, no. So it's so it's important, I think, for us to what I'm trying to think of as as a brand and House of Tayo is how do we reflect the times? How do we make sure? How do we create a business model that can shift to that? people are wearing, I love what Hot Basso did, because people being at home during this lockdown, they realized how ugly their homes are. So they're like,
let me tell you,
you know,
every day I wake up with a project. Every day.
yeah,
There's the garden, there's the bookshelf, there's the kitchen. Yeah, anyway, I'll be calling them. Yeah, they know.
yeah. So it's important, you sit at home
Yeah.
looking and saying, okay, you know what? Every day I've been in and out, not paying attention to my home. Now I've had to sit here for weeks on end. I really need to get rid of these curtains. I need to repaint. I need new plants. Like,
yeah.
So
Absolutely. Is that where it came from, or that was already in the pipeline?
It was always in the pipeline. We had actually kind of like dropped little breadcrumbs initially in the early part of the year. I think it was February. So it's always part of the pipeline, but I think that this also helps create, I think, a stronger market for us. It's been a benefit to us a little bit from the lockdown in that particular aspect, for sure.
Yeah, I think there's some, benefits of COVID, which is online learning. People are like, oh, I don't have the head for it, but now it's like, that's the only way you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Mobile money, home design, etc. So definitely, I think it would be, I think it would be silly not to think that even with the vaccine, that COVID will not have transformed the way we live. And to, we have to adapt as people, as businesses, etc. So maybe I'll take to some questions. Maybe, Tyler, let's flip back so I can scroll up. Flip back so I can scroll. Guys, let us know if you have any questions for these fabulous people and brands. I'll try to share the screen like that. I'm trying to scroll up. Ella says hi, Tayo. Charity says yes to collaboration. No questions? Everybody's really quiet. I think I asked that question before.
Yeah. Shy today.
Everybody's very shy. Hi, everyone. Hi, Bells. Hi, Tuza. Approver. Who are you? Somebody's ID name is called Approver. I love it. Huh?
Maybe I can also ask you a question.
Me?
Yeah.
Like,
what should we expect from this new platform of yours?
More of, just talking to fabulous people doing great things. That they really didn't have to do, like neither of you had to go into this business, neither of you had to move to Rwanda, neither of you, there is a lot of pain in the startup life, right? Neither of you had to choose that life.
Yeah.
You could have had some great corporate jobs paying some great salaries and benefits, especially now that we're all getting older, those benefits are really important. But there's an attraction, there's a calling that comes to all of us in starting something from scratch and showing that it can be done, even though it's hard. You're going to crack the code, and that you're going to leave the door open for everyone else. And when we do that, let's not make it harder for the next person. Come back and say, okay, this is how you get into the collective, this is how you start a fashion show, this is how you price your products, this is how, why must it be difficult for every generation?
Yeah.
We need to absolutely break that curse. So that's really what this platform is about. You'll be able to see more IG lives. Maybe we'll do some webinars. If both of you are open to it, we can do something on pattern design, on sketching, on the business of fashion, whatever you guys would like to see. Just DM me or write it in the comments. Some of you know me personally, just send me a WhatsApp. We will create webinars for you guys so you can actually learn. Online learning is a new thing, thanks to COVID. What else? There'll be some merchandise of makers, but maybe we can open up in the spirit of collaboration and, be able to advertise for you all and help you with the online aspect of it, selling your merchandise, selling your products. What else? Master classes. Anybody's up for master classes? Yeah. Really, whatever comes to my mind to help you all is what we're going to do. Some of it will be free, some of it will be paid, because we have to honor their time. This, of course, is free, but if we are doing a masterclass, for example, there will be a small fee, but we're going to make it very affordable. We're going to make it accessible to everyone. So yeah, I don't know, Ty, if you had any parting questions. Oh, I can see some questions here. Diane, who is your hairdresser? Child. And thank you, DK, because you always have perfect hair. He's called Olivier. Let me go, Salon. Okay. Linda of Hot Vessels. I think she's just helping us out here. What are the top 2 to 3 things one should consider when pursuing a career in fashion or entrepreneurship? Who wants to take that?
If you try, you can start while I think about that one.
You know, I think that one thing that I think it's important to be mission driven, because it's a difficult path. So you know, you have to have a bigger idea pushing you forward, and if you have that big idea, I mean, the path will switch. So many things will change. The way COVID has just taught us right now. But if you have a bigger mission, it's easier to motivate yourself to push forward. I think a second thing is I think that over many years, I've noticed how sometimes people are reckless when they talk about entrepreneurship, when they talk about just going for it and you know, going all in and over the years, you know, as I grow, I've realized certain things, and I think that it's, you know, you should be driven, but you also need to be calculated. You need to be, you know, a bit cautious at times. You can't throw all caution to the wind. And you know, in some cases, you know, people say just drop the job you're doing and pursue this, you know, full time. You know, I look to the entrepreneurs who kept their day job until they had a solid foundation to build off of. You know, and you know, when you look at Sarah Blakely with Spanx, you know, she worked until she was, you know, doing much bigger orders. You know,
Yeah.
she was still at her office selling, doing her regular job. So I think that those things are important.
If you knew what you now, would you have started without being employed?
Not necessarily, because when I think I think I would have pursued maybe a combination. I'm not too sure, but I realized that there was a specific window when I started. When I came up with the idea for House of Tyre, it was 2011. So I was still in school. I still had 2 more years of school. So, for instance, if I just graduated and then started the business, it would have been a totally different thing. I had the safety net of school. And so during those 2 years, I only registered the business in 2013. So during those 2 years, I was understanding, learning, while I had that safety net of school. It would have been the same as me maybe having a safety net of a job while I'm learning more about my craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think what I would say is make sure you're informed. I think that's, to me, is like the most important thing, is just make sure you're really informed about the type of business that you're trying to have. I think when you know exactly where you're going, you know about the industry, do your homework. I think that's the biggest challenge, is when you kind of go into something blind and you don't really know what it entails.
Yeah.
So as much as you can get informed, whether it's education, whether that be taking master classes, there's all these different types of things that you can do while having a job or while being in school, that you can help set up the foundation for you when you actually do fully jump into it. So to me, that's the most important thing. And I think it's also just, you got to be really hardworking. Like, you really have to be dedicated. So I think when you have passion, whatever it is that you do, I think it's important to really do what you enjoy doing. I think it can be a little bit, because the entrepreneurial life is difficult. It's very challenging on your spirit, on your physically, mentally, everything. So it's really important that you're really passionate about what you're doing, because I think that will continue to drive you and keep innovating when things like a pandemic happen. Like, it'll keep pushing you, rather than making you feel like, okay, now I just got to throw in the towel. I've got an excuse to kind of do it. So I think you really have to just be passionate.
Absolutely. I agree with both of you. I don't know if this question was for me, but I'll answer it. I think passion doesn't pay the bills always. I think I agree with you must enjoy what you're doing, but it needs to be realistic.
Exactly.
Can you do it? Do you need to outsource it? Do you need to learn it? Do you need to perfect it to be able to charge better? So that whole whatever of quit your day job to, I don't know, just do something that you could do on the side, maybe not, especially as I get older. I really understand that. But at the same time, in terms of information, I think context is key. What works in New York will not work in Kigali. What works in Kigali will not work in Accra. So I think context is very important. It's, you're talking about fashion, you're talking about supply chain and importing of things, and it's just context is key. So really, when you're looking at starting, look at where you're starting and what you're starting with for yourself. What skills do you have? What skills do you need? And then, is this possible within the market that you're serving? So I think those are maybe the 2 to 3 things that I would say. Yeah. Shumbu3 says, congratulations to both of you being featured on Beyonce's website. What does this mean to both of you?
I mean, this is another great opportunity, I think, for us to capitalize where we can, and then also make sure that we're keeping the standard. I think this also pushes us to make sure that we're constantly evolving our standard and make sure our standard's getting better and better. So I think for me, that's really what this opportunity means to me, is just keep the gas, keep it going.
Keep it on the pedal, yeah. Okay, Feel Good Kerus asks, does Collective Rwanda envision its spirit of collaboration eventually encompassing a wider range of creative industries?
Yes. This is something that we talked a lot about, Ty. I think you can add on to that. We talked a lot about this last year, and then also early this year, about how we can bring in a wider creative kind of range when we think about who are members in Collective. I think the fashion industry has so many other supporting stakeholders, so it's another great way for us to be able to pull them into photographers, illustrators, everyone. There's so many other creatives that can definitely fall under Collective. So that's something that, stay tuned, that's definitely going to be something that we're going to be looking at formalizing that part too soon.
That's exciting. Thanks for asking that question, Karen.
So we're looking at ways. So we're looking at ways. I think we said it would be like Collective RW Associates, and then just building a sort of platform and way. What we're trying to figure out at the moment is, if you are a partner of ours, how do you benefit? And so that's, I mean, creating a space for people to collaborate is great, but we want to give tangible, come up with tangible ideas of how do you benefit from being part of this this network.
Amazing. Okay. Berajasi, I think it's Beryl. How accessible are both your brands to folks abroad?
Very. You can contact us on our Instagram page @Otbaso, and we can give you all the details.
Same for you, Tayo?
Same. We have our contact details on our Instagram page. You can DM, you can send us a WhatsApp, whichever is more, email, whatever is most convenient for you.
Great. I think that's all the questions for us today. Thank you all for joining us on live. Thank you to these two amazing fashion designers, fashionistas. What do you guys go by? Fashion geniuses. Made in Rwanda. We're so proud of you. Speaking on behalf of makers, Diane, Rwandans, Africans, really, we're so proud of you guys. We love you, and we will continue to support. I will continue to support. Of course, I'm lazy, so if you could just DM me what's coming up, that would be great. I can't wait to have you guys back on the show and to see what new things keep coming up. Collective Rwanda will be watching out. Hot Baso's store and coffee shop, House of Tayo expansion. Love it all. Can't wait. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Well done. Well
Yep.
done. Sunny
Thank
says
you.
well done. Oh, your brother says well done. How
Thanks,
cute.
Sunny.
Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Are you sure you want to end video now? Yes.